Hey, have you ever asked yourself, is your state governor an alien, unprivileged enemy belligerent? And then while you're at it, well, how about an esquire impersonating a state judicial officer? Well, I'm not for sure myself, but let's go try to find out. On Sunday, April 11th, 2021, and this is Staff Sergeant Robert Allen Ratluski, United States Army veteran, a.k.a. Rob Ryder. Email address is courtofrecord@aol.com. Always the best way to get a hold of me. COURTOFRECORD at AOL.com. So, what's this all about? Well, my last video had to do with the Law of War Manual, but it was persecuted oath keepers and proud boys. Right, and so in there, I thought I would be doing a video today based on the Department of Defense Law of War Manual, specifically Chapter 4, which has to do with the different classifications of persons. In fact, hang on just a second. Yeah, right in here, classes of persons. Right, and, so this will tell you, well, who's protected under the Geneva Convention and who is an unprivileged belligerent, and why you really don't want to be an unprivileged belligerent, right? You need to be protected in one way or the other, either some class of protected person. And so all of a sudden, there's all sorts of classes of persons that are protected, such like the Red Cross, right? If you were a volunteer, member of the Red Cross, you send them a $10 donation. Well, you get to put on a brassard on your arm with the Red Cross on it and say, I'm a member of the Red Cross protected by the Geneva Convention. I demand trial by court-martial, right? So anytime you go to court, just tell them that, you're a protected person under the Geneva Convention and you demand trial by court-martial. So as it turns out, in Michigan, right, anybody who's between the age of 17 and 60, able-bodied citizens of the state are considered members of the unorganized militia. Well, that makes you subject to the UCMJ. You're protected by the Geneva Convention. But if you don't say anything, well, they're going to believe you're an unprivileged belligerent. Right? Because in the courtrooms of Gold Fringe Flag, it's a military court of some kind, right? Some kind of tribunal, or at least it has that authority to be. Maybe it's trying cases in multiple jurisdictions, but the Gold Fringe Flag is its own jurisdiction. And in that jurisdiction, you want to be a protected person. And so you can see all the different, names they have for people that are or aren't. And so some that are not are like spies and saboteurs. And other persons engaged in similar acts behind enemy lines, private persons who engage in hostilities, rights, duties, liabilities, unprivileged belligerents, yada, yada, yada. So it's, man's been at war a long time. They've had a long time to get this law down, right? And because the United States is in a armed conflict, then military law applies, right? So, and they have these things called military commissions, which seem to be, when you look at it, they say that they're for foreign or alien, I should say alien, unprivileged belligerents, but, who exactly is that? Okay, hang on, we'll get going here. Just a second. Okay, so hey, guess what? We have a place called the Office of Military Commissions, which is www.mc.mil. Right, and got all sorts of information in here. You can go under legal resources and find the regulations and the procedures and that they use for this, right? For this court that's set up for alien combatants. Well, no, not combatants. That's the wrong way. They're not combatants, right? We're not dealing with combatants. We're dealing with unprivileged belligerents. So, right, Office of Military Commissions. Keep that in mind. You may want to, find that and log it down somewhere. So hang on. Okay, so there's they call it the Military Commissions Act of 2009, which is actually this Chapter 47A, Military Commissions. And Chapter 47 in Title 10, that's where the UCMJ is. That's Uniform Code of Military Justice, right? So this is an add-on to the Uniform Code of Military Justice. And, of course, in all these, they start with definitions on, what an alien means. An individual who is not a citizen of the United States. Oh, you say, well, how could... I guess that doesn't include my governor then, because my governor is a citizen of the United States. But is he or she? We're going to find out. Or the judge, or the mayor, or anybody else, right, that has failed to take the proper oath of office, and really, because they did not take the sovereign's oath of office, that is common law treason. Henry VIII had a baron, right, who, for whatever reason, when they were doing the oaths, they really took this stuff serious back in the day, right? He got missed for some reason, and he bragged about it afterwards. So Henry VIII had him arrested and executed him, right, for not taking his oath of office when he knew that he had the duty to do so. Right, so keep that in mind. So in this, that's just a few little sections I want to look at. Like military commissions generally, this chapter establishes procedures governing the use of military commissions to try an alien, unprivileged enemy belligerent for violations of the law of war, and other offenses triable by military commissions. Now, this thing, the law of war, that's just, traditions of war. It's the unwritten law of war. And then they have things like the DOD Law of War Manual, where that's, the statutory version. But, they tell you that the law of war has been created over centuries of warfare, so it's common law. It's actually public international law, and the form of public international law we're under right now are not the laws of peace, they're the laws of war. And because we're under the laws of war, well, then if you're a protected individual under the Geneva Convention, you should be able to get some kind of protection. Right? So the president is authorized to establish military commissions under this chapter for offenses triable by military commissions as provided in this chapter. So really all I need to do is get the people who in charge of the commissions to agree that, the governor is not a citizen of the United States. That sounds like a really steep hill to climb. Person subject to the military commissions. Any alien, unprivileged enemy belligerent is subject to trial by military commissions as set forth in this chapter. Right? But I don't know that it excludes anybody. It just includes one group. It didn't say everybody else is not included, right? So that's number one. They don't necessarily have to be alien, unprivileged enemy belligerents. You just have to file the complaint. Maybe that's how you find out. Right? But give me just a minute. We'll get to why I say that, hey, technically they are already alien, unprivileged enemy belligerents. So the jurisdiction of military commissions, a military commission under this chapter, shall have jurisdiction to try persons subject to this chapter for any offense made punishable by this chapter. Sections 904 and 906 of this title, which is Article 104 and 106 of the Uniform Code of Military Justice, or the law of war, whether such offense was committed before, on, or after September 11th, 2001. It may, under such limitations the President may prescribe, adjudge any punishment not forbidden by this chapter, including the penalty of death when specifically authorized under this chapter. Military commission is a competent tribunal to make finding sufficient for jurisdiction. So they get to decide if they have jurisdiction. This is a wonderful thing. They're competent to decide their own jurisdiction. Okay. Is there any other ones right up here? Who may convene? The military commissions under this chapter may be convened by the Secretary of Defense or by any officer or official of the United States designated by the Secretary for that purpose. Well, as it turns out, that's been done. All right, SECDEF. All right, Secretary of Defense appoints new convening authority for military commissions. Secretary of Defense Mark T. Esper, designated Colonel Jeffrey D. Wood to serve as the convening authority for military commissions on April 17th. Okay, so that's the guy that it is, right? Colonel Wood serves as staff judge advocate for the Arkansas National Guard in a dual status federal technician attorney advisor position. In 2018, Governor Asa Hutchinson appointed him to serve as the state judge advocate for the Arkansas National Guard. Okay, so we got a colonel in the Arkansas National Guard. Thank you, sir, for your service, who has been appointed to be the authority to convene a military commission. I know who I need to convince. His name is Colonel Jeffrey D. Wood. Well, actually, he's got a full middle name, but they're not using it here. All right, so if you can convince Colonel Wood that you're correct, he can convene a military commission. That's powerful stuff. All right, hang on again. Okay, so let's see if we can check off some boxes here. So this is Title 8 United States Code on aliens and nationality. And in particular, we're talking about Section 1481, loss of nationality by native-born or naturalized citizens and voluntary action, burden of proof, presumptions. Where it says a person who is a national of the United States, whether by birth or naturalization, shall lose his nationality by voluntarily performing any of the following acts with the intention of relinquishing United States nationality. And, you can read all these, but what I'm going to focus on is number 7. Committing any act of treason against or attempting by force to overthrow or bearing arms against the United States, violated or conspiring to violate any of the provisions of Section 2383 of Title 18, or willfully performing any act in violation of Section 2385 of Title 18, or violating Section 2384 of Title 18. Hey, got 3 sections of Title 18 that they violate those, that would be considered an act of treason, and they have given up their nationality, right? They would be an alien to the Republic. Okay, so, well, what are those? What do you got here? 2385, right? Advocating the overthrow of the government. Well, that makes sense. Just, so you say that they are. Rebellion and insurrection. That's 2383. Okay. Seditious conspiracy. If they're doing any of those, well, then they can be tried by a military commission. And the way that they have it written, where they say who can be, I didn't say they were exclusive. It just named who could be. But at the end of the day, the ones that get to decide who has the jurisdiction is the convening authority. So, you'd be remiss not to let him make the decision. So that's what I'm going to do. I've already sent him something. We'll see what happens. Hopefully tomorrow. We'll get to that in just a second. Just real quick then. So whenever the loss of United States nationality is put in issue in any action or proceeding commenced on or after September 26, 1961, I wonder what happened that day. Should go look that day up in history. Under or by virtue of the provisions of this chapter or any other act, the burden shall be upon the person or party claiming that such loss occurred to establish such claim by a preponderance of the evidence. Right? Okay, so if you're going to make the claim, you got to be able to prove it. Got it. Right? Any person who commits or performs or who has committed or performed any act of expatriation, under the provisions of this chapter, or any other act shall be presumed to have done so voluntarily, but such presumption may be rebutted upon a showing by a preponderance of evidence that the act or acts committed or performed were not done voluntarily. Right? So they can get forgiveness. But first they got to go answer. You say, oh, we made a mistake. Please forgive me. Well, that's fine. Don't do it again. I get it. I'm not vindictive. I just want to start the reign of peace, which happens by getting these people that are pretending to be the government to stop pretending to be the government. Right? And the reason is they didn't take the proper oaths of office. And if you don't know that that's a big deal, then I'm sorry for you. You don't have a clue. That's the biggest deal. Right? If you didn't take the proper oath of office, you don't have any authority to do whatever it is you're claiming to do because you say that you're somebody that you're not because you didn't qualify. You know, if you're in the military, you better understand that, right? This is that little jot and tittle of the law that keeps people from being war criminals and instead being war heroes, right? Because they followed the book. So when you can find it in the book where it's in your favor, you don't go look for something else. You just stick with the book. And that's what we're going to try to do. We're going to try to stick it with number 7 and say, hey, what they did is an act of treason. Why? Because they didn't take proper oath, officer. Salute the flag. I'm defending the Constitution. They did not take the oath that satisfies 6th article of the Constitution, sir. They do not have any authority. Colonel, he knows that. Just, has anybody ever told him? Okay, so just so we can say we looked at a few things, right? This is the regulations that you'll find there. And basically everything that has to do with what we would have to do happens in the first 19 pages of this 202-page manual, right? You don't need to know all this stuff. You just need to know what you need to do. And then most of them pages, as you can see, are the ship for the rest of the book. But we don't need to know all that. You can go learn it later. What you need to know is what do you need to do to file a claim? Right? The regulation trial by military commission, hereafter regulation, prescribes policies and provisions for the administration of military justice and implements the manual of military commissions. United States, 2010, that'd be the MMC. If you ever see the RMC, well, that's the rules of military commissions, because pretty soon that's all you start seeing is a bunch of abbreviations. What the hell does that stand for? So whenever you don't know, go to the very beginning, right? That's what it'll all be, right? Because they're never going to say manual for military commissions again. It's just going to be the MMC for the next 202 pages. But it's good to know, well, that's the name of the thing, and you can go find a copy, and, you can read what it says. Convening Authority. The Office of the Convening Authority for Military Commissions is established in the Office of the Secretary of Defense under the authority, direction, and control of the Secretary of Defense. The Office of the Convening Authority shall consist of the Convening Authority, the Director of Office of Convening Authority, and the legal advisor to the Convening Authority, and such other subordinate officials, including the Chief of the Office of Court Administration, and organizational elements as within the resources of the Department of Defense. Now, I'm sure I'm going to get to it and find it, but anybody who's under the UCMJ can file charges into the military commissions. So if you're in the military right now, or you know somebody who is, that has some pull or wants to do something, they can do what I'm talking about because they're under the UCMJ. That's one of the conditions is who can file charges, and the determining factor is, are you under the Uniform Code of Military Justice? Now, I'm saying in Michigan, because everybody from 17 to 60 is in the unorganized militia, or, they're not in that, they're actually in the organized militia, but that's your two choices, right? So you're under the UCMJ. So anybody can do it. You just need to tell them that because you're in the state's militia, right, that you're under the UCMJ and you can file a claim, right? Charge. This is not commercial. This is military. We're going to charge somebody. Right? Convening authority for military commissions. In performing duties directly related to military commissions, the convening authority for military commissions shall dispose of charges. Issue orders. Right? So dispose of the charges. That's what we do. And then based on that, he issues orders. Right? To try alien, unprivileged, enemy belligerents for violations of law of war or other crimes triable by military commissions. Again, they want to say it's alien, unprivileged, enemy belligerent. That's I'm going to say I'm not changing them what I'm saying. The Governor Whitmer, right, that imposter pretending to be the governor, right, is an alien, unprivileged, enemy, belligerent. And, hey, we're almost down the bottom, right? Really, that's all you have to do. Although charges under the MCA may be sworn by anyone, subject to the Uniform Code of Military Justice, thank you, there it is, right? Anyone. May be sworn by anyone. Charges will normally be sworn by the appropriate official in the office of the chief prosecutor, right? So, in civilian courts, you need to go through the prosecutor to have charges sworn. Not that they actually swear anything, but, you can't do it. They won't let you do it. I've tried many, many times. They won't let you file charges. But this says that you can, as long as you're under the UCMJ. And, I have much confidence in that because there's many a story from the military of privates, sending generals out of the fucking military by filing a complaint through the UCMJ. And heads will roll. It's a proven fact. It's in the newspaper all the time. Just, go check it out. Preparations on charges to be sworn. The person swearing charges need not plead all possible charges that the evidence could support. Right? So just pick one. You don't need to plead them all. Just pick one. They'll investigate. They'll find the rest. Right? However, the person swearing charges shall refrain from swearing any charges not supported by probable cause. That's your standard. Well, what's probable cause? Probable cause is that you're willing to swear to it. That's probable cause. They have to call you a liar, or they have to investigate. Right? So you better be right, because they could get you for perjury, right? So this is why you don't want to pick a bunch of things. Just pick one. You've got plenty of evidence for it. Give it to them, and then let them do the rest. That's my approach. Preparation of charges. The person preparing charges and specifications shall use the MC Form 458 charge sheet. That'd be your figure 3.1. And then your RMC 307 and MC Form 458 provide instructions on preparation of charges and specifications. Charge sheet shall be signed and forwarded to the convening authority. Hey, there you go. Fill out the form and send it to the convening authority. Look, it said signed and forwarded. It didn't say anything about swearing anything yet. It just said sign it and forward it. Good enough. Each page, the person preparing a charge sheet shall use plain 8.5 by 11 for continuation pages. Each page shall bear appropriate classification markings, with paragraph markings being required only where the paragraph contains information classified confidential or above. Each page shall include or indicate the page number of pages, and if the continuation page of the continuation page charges and specifications. I may not have put that words on there, right? I should have looked at this a little bit closer before I sent it, but hey, I'm not trying to bat 1,000, just trying to get it in the field. Who signs? Charges and specifications against the accused in military commissions must be signed under oath by a person subject to the UCMJ. Okay, must be signed. That's the charges, but it must be signed, right? So I've already signed it. As far as I'm concerned, the convening authority can call me on the phone and put me under oath. Right? There's no reason for it. They do it all the time. Civilian side, they say that they take, law enforcement's statements over the phone and issue arrest warrants. Who administers the oath? Right? Well, it has to be some particular people. They'd be out in 10 U.S.C. 936. These officials include all judge advocates, legal officers, adjutants, as well as commanding officers of the Navy, Marine Corps, and Coast Guard. Okay. Right? Our part's ends. If we can get that far, we're done. Now, there's still a lot more to go, but our part would be done. We just need to get them to put our charges under oath and, let them go into the system. And I'm happy to let them start making decisions. I don't think there's much more here. Oh, here we go. Charges and specifications against the accused in a military commission under this chapter shall be signed by a person subject to Chapter 47, this title, under oath before a commissioned officer of the armed forces authorized to administer oaths, and shall state that the signer has personal knowledge or reason to believe the matters set forth therein, that the matters are true in the fact and the best of the signer's knowledge and belief. So that's how you're going to swear to it. Or you have personal knowledge or reason to believe the matter set forth therein, and that the matters are true in fact to the best of the signer's knowledge and belief. That's a pretty low standard, but, it's not, do you swear to tell the truth, whole truth, and nothing but the truth? No, do you believe it to be true? Upon the swearing of the charges and specifications in accordance with the subsection A, the accused shall be informed of the charges and specifications against the accused as soon as practicable. Well, in today's technology, that could be almost instantaneous, done by Zoom, or done by U.S. Marshal or Provost Marshal walking into their office. You've been served. Put handcuffs on them. Rules for military commissions, purpose of instruction. Intended to provide for just determination of every proceeding related to trial by military commissions. Lots of good reading, I'm sure. But at the time, I haven't really read all this stuff. I'll be quite honest with you, because I wanted to send something. And so what I did find, where is the example? Oh, let me go back to this one first, right? So if you're in this, this is the regulations, 2011 regulation manual. Regulation for trial by military commission. If we go down here far enough, we will find, oh, there it is. Oops, hold on. Charge sheet. All right, so what I ended up doing is I just copied, or I printed these 2 pages, this 2-page form, and I made a PDF out of it, and then I came back in and I used this sign and fill to fill in the blanks that I needed to fill in, which really weren't that much. Name of the accused, alias accused, right? ISN number, and then, put here, see attached page. Put your little bit of information, da-da-da-da. And, when you get to this point at the bottom of the first page, you're done. This is all we need to do. Right? Now, there's more going to happen afterwards, but it's none of our concern, right? Our concern is the first page. Right here. Right? This is, if you can get this done and get them to agree, well, then you will see the shit hitting the fan. Okay, so I wanted to look at an example. And, I found one, right? Name of the accused. Right? Got any of the aliases? Don't know of any. ISN number? Well, I don't even know what that is. What's the last four? How do I even know what that is? So I don't have to put one in there. If I could put none for aliases, I could put none for ISN number. All right, charges now, just see attached. Guy used a middle initial. Right, now you don't have a middle initial name. You should know that. You got no middle initial. And it's actually proved by, if you look at the paperwork, and they put your name backwards. Like in my case, they put Rutluski, Robert Allen. They don't put Rutluski, Robert Allen, like this is, or Rutluski, Robert, A, like this shows. Right? You don't have a middle initial. You don't have a middle name. You have a given name if you have a 2-part name. So anyways, so if you don't have a middle name, then you don't have a middle initial. That's the reason, right? So mine's just Robert Allen. That's my first name. What's your grade? What's your organization? Right? Well, that guy was done. Ellington is done when he gets this guy's signature. See what I'm saying? Job well done. Take the rest of the day off. Okay. Let's find a couple more things to look at. So, in case this, like the first one of my videos you've ever watched, this isn't the first time I've filed charges against Gretchen Esther Whitmer for impersonating the governor, right? And so if you went back 11 months ago, go to Rob Ryder, ROBBBRYDER, and search by upload date, right? Newest first, go back 11 months. You see, like, Governor, I'm not judging you, right? I'm prosecuting. Whitmer, Nessel, and Benson. Where? Oh, Gretchen has a hearing. Yeah, Gretchen has a hearing where I filed charges at the local district court, and they, actually sent me back paperwork that they were setting up a freaking notice to appear, and she never appeared. So then I filed paperwork to have a bench warrant issued, but they've not responded to that paperwork. So I don't know what they did. But this isn't the first time, right? So a lot of the things I say and I do, you might question, well, where do you find that stuff out? Well, you'd have to go watch some of these videos, right? Because I've shown all this shit many, many, many times. I just, I can't keep showing it over and over, or the videos just get to be too long. But leaving that to lie, let's go look at what I filed today, because this is what I do, right? I go try things. I don't even care if it's 100% perfect. In fact, I know it isn't going to be, so I don't worry about it. Just go ahead and put it in, right? So using that charge sheet, I said Gretchen Esther Whitmer. Now, they said all caps to the last name. That's why I did it that way. And alias is the accused. Well, Gretchen Whitmer, Governor Whitmer, Gretchen Whitmer, Governor. ISN number, unknown. State Bar of Michigan registration, though, because I did have that, so I put that in. We can identify who I'm talking about. All right, see attached. Because violation MCA sections and title. The guy just said see attached. I wanted to add a few words. So see attached section 950T, 24, 27, 29. All right, that's what I claimed happened. So really quick, where are those? Well, that's in this right, Title 10, Chapter 47A, which is the Military Commissioned Act of 2009. Go all the way down the bottom. Here. What do we have? Here's the numbers, right? Well, 24 is terrorism. 27 is spying. And 29 is conspiracy. Okay. That's what we're going to be talking about. Right? Want my name backwards? See, there's no comma between Ritluski and Allen, so it's just Robert Allen. Veteran E6, Michigan military establishment, unorganized militia. We got to look at that real quick, too. And, I did my thing. I'll look at what it is I sent. But, sir, you can just go ahead and fill this in for me when you get down there, right? Whatever day you call me, tomorrow will be fine, right? Swear me to my chart, swear me to my statements, and let's go from there. Okay, hang on just a second here. Pause. Yeah, this is the Michigan Military Act, right? So I'm sure every state has something like this. It's the act to provide for militia of this state and its organizations, command, personnel, administration, training, supply, discipline, so forth and so on. The Michigan Military Act. Well, we're going to go through this whole thing anyway, so where's the parts I want to show you? The state military establishment, the organized militia of the state, taken collectively, shall be known as a state military establishment and constitutes the armed force of the state. The organized militia consists of the Army National Guard, the Air National Guard, and the Defense Force when actually in existence as provided in this act. And we actually do have a Michigan Volunteer Defense Force. And, really that's what this video was supposed to be about, is talking about them. I said, well, we should be going to these people. But, or joining these people, right? Because you don't even have to have been prior service to join this defense force. They meet one day out of the month, one Saturday, 4 days sometime in the summer. That's your commitment. You don't get paid, but you do get to be protected by the Geneva Convention, right? Because you're part of the organized militia of your state. And in a time of need, time of war, whatever, they will give you a weapon, right? So you get, military grade just for joining. And so that will be on my next video. Anyways, the unorganized militia consists of all able-bodied citizens of this state, right? Didn't say men or women, all able-bodied citizens of the state and all other able-bodied citizens who are residents of this state, who have or shall have declared their intentions to become citizens of the United States, or shall have declared their intention to become citizens of the United States, who shall be age 17 or over and not more than 60, and shall be subject to state military duty as provided in this act. Well, that puts you under the frickin', military jurisdiction. Right? The state code of military justice applies to all members of the organized militia when it's not in active federal service. Officers and enlisted personnel of the organized militia during service in the organized militia are exempt from jury duty in service on posse comitatus. Right, so again, let's talk about, well, that's, for these guys when they're on active federal service, because then they wouldn't be under, the state has its own uniform code of military justice, right? That's the point. You wouldn't be under the state code of military justice. You'd be under the federal code of military justice. But if you're one of these people up here in the military establishment or the unorganized militia, my brothers and sisters, you are protected by the state's code of military justice. You just need to claim it. So that's all I want to show there. That's all that we're going to look at today. Just that particular fact that all of these make up the defense forces of your state, and anybody between the age of 17 and 60 is protected. Okay. So back to this. So that's that page. And they want you to do the date in a particular way. I don't know. I just do it. I'm okay with it. Second page. Well, there's nothing for me because that isn't me. But this is what I said. So charge, violation of 10 U.S.C. 950T 24 terrorism. The specification. On March 10th, 2020, Gretchen Esther Whitmer, an alien unprivileged enemy belligerent, impersonating as the elected governor of Michigan, endangered human life within Michigan, United States, when she issued an unauthorized process under the counterfeit seal of the state of Michigan as Executive Order 2020-4, Declaration of State Emergency. In an effort to coerce the civilian population of the United States and to affect the conduct of the U.S. government by coercion. The accused continues to issue counterfeit executive orders to coerce civilian population of the United States and to affect the conduct of the U.S. government by coercion. Now, why is it written like that? Well, because that's how it's written in the frickin' law. That's why. All right? What's terrorism? Any person subject to this chapter who intentionally kills or inflicts great bodily harm on one or more of the protected persons, or intentionally engages in an act that evinces wanton disregard of human life in a manner calculated to influence, affect the conduct of the government or civilian population by intimidation or coercion. So, earlier this summer we had all the riots, right? Trump called those acts of terrorism, and whoever the Attorney General was at the time, he called them acts of terrorism. But the person who did not certify them as acts of terrorism was the Secretary of Treasury. And if he had certified them as acts of terrorism, then you could have claimed your losses on your general liability insurance, right? Insurance would have paid for it. But they didn't do that. So, okay, so there you go. Well, that's why I said that it was. Right now, what are you going to prove? Okay, well, by her omission to execute the oath of office that satisfies Section 3 of the 6th Article of the Constitution of the United States, as found in 4 U.S.C. 101, oath by members of legislature and officers, and her filing a counterfeit of the oath of office required by the Constitution of Michigan 1963, subscribed under a fictitious identification, administered by a class of officer, a notary public, forbidden by state law to administer the governor's oath, that'd be an MCL 15.37, Gretchen Esther Whitmer voluntarily forfeited her state nationality in accordance with Title 8, United States Code, Section 1481, subsection 7, treason. Now, if the colonel will just agree with me at that stage right there, well, then it's a done deal. right? Because the seal embossed on the executive order is a counterfeit of the Great Seal of the state of Michigan. The wording does not conform to Michigan Compiled Law 2.42 Great Seal description. CL 2.42. Because of this modern technology, you can actually find copies of this stuff. And when you get all done, you make a little packet together and you can send it to the convening authority. The accused, an active member of the State Bar of Michigan, right? How do you know that? I went and looked her up. She got a registration number, P58112. Registered on the roll of attorneys, kept by the Michigan Supreme Court, is concealing her full legal name identification when executing alleged legal documents. So on the roll of attorney that's kept by the state Supreme Court, if you went there, you'd find Gretchen Esther Whitmer, right? But she never calls herself Gretchen Esther Whitmer when she's doing legal documents, and you're supposed to use your legal name in all legal documents. Right? So if an oath of office is not a legal document, then it's because you didn't do it right, right? You violated your freaking duty to take a proper oath by putting a middle initial name or something other than your full legal name. You did not subscribe in your full legal name. You did not do it right. And so you do not have any authority, and that's where we find ourselves in America, right? There's nobody who should have taken an oath to satisfy the 6th Article of the Constitution that's done it, right? It hasn't been done. Doesn't matter if they show you something else. If they didn't do this proper oath, jot and tittle, word for word, it was not done properly. And, you could tell that to a private, and he would understand. Right? So just act like a private for a minute. Make it simple. Say, no, it doesn't say what this says. And I'll show you what it is, right? I mean, I've shown it many times, but what the heck? But let's go on. Charge 2, violation of 10 U.S.C. subsection 950T 27 spying specification. Accused did not qualify for the office of governor of Michigan, right, because of charge 1. And as a result, she has fraudulently claimed appointment as commander-in-chief of the Michigan National Guard, and as a spy gained access to state secrets and classified information regarding security. I think I could sell that. Conspiracy. Charge 3, violation of 10 U.S.C. 950T 29 conspiracy. The specification. Accused conspires with other public officer impostors to overthrow the Republican form of government guaranteed to every state in this union under Article 4 of the Constitution of the United States. The incumbent, no incumbent to a class of office mentioned in Section 3 of the 6th Article of the Constitution of the United States has qualified for that office. These alleged incumbents have not executed the oath mandated in an act to regulate the time and manner of administering certain oaths. That's the name of the law, right? It's 1 Stat 23, Book 1, Statutes at Large, page 23, right? The form of this oath, I, A, B, which would be state your name, you solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States, is also found in 4 U.S.C. 101. An individual claiming authority under the United States or the several states must execute this oath, or they are no more than a usurper committing an act of treason. Even the President of the United States of America must execute this oath, as the oath in the 2nd article does not support this Constitution. And in the 2nd article, it says President of the United States of America, not President of the United States. Right? But every time you look, all the placards are President of the United States. No, it's supposed to be President of the United States of America. That's what's in the 2nd article. But they intentionally have the guy take it wrong, and then he's not taking the oath that's in 4 U.S.C. 101. He's not satisfying the 6th article. Because it says, any individual claiming a 6th article office who cannot provide prima facie evidence of having executed the mandated oath is a conspirator of the accused. Unfortunately, they include senators and representatives, the members of the several state legislatures, and all executive and judicial officers, both of the United States and the several states, right? That's right out of it. The 6th article. It's everybody has to take an oath to support the Constitution. And that oath is this oath right here. I, Robert Allen Wertlewski, do solemnly swear I will support the Constitution of the United States. but they're not doing it. Now, military officers, they don't have to take that oath because they're not officers of the executive. They were until like 1949, whenever the DOD came into existence, but then they became military officers. Right? So they don't take this oath. They have an oath of honor, or they have an office of honor. Right? They're called a sir. I guess that's an office of honor. And so they take the oath that's in 5 USC 3331 because that's the proper oath for them. But if you are a executive officer, judicial officer, like a judge, justice, right, legislators, you had to take this oath. But they didn't. So this is man-made disaster coerces the civil population of the United States and affect the conduct of the U.S. government by coercion. Right? They put these errors into the record so that people don't have any authority. This is part of a scheme. All right, so I said, well, that's enough, right? Get all that on one page. Either he'll bite or he won't, but let's send it to him. And I said, well, I'm at it. I'll send him a copy of the order, right? This is the executive order for declaration of state of emergency, right? Enrolled in the Senate, right? Done under my hand and the Great Seal of the state of Michigan. Well, Gretchen Whitmer, again, that's not her name. It's Gretchen Esther Whitmer. And this seal is a counterfeit, right? Because as we'll look at the law in just a second, all these words should be lowercase except Michigan. And the should not be on there. It should be Great Seal of the state of lowercase Michigan proper case. The date uppercase, just like you see it here. Right? File Secretary of State. Okay, and this is the oath of office that she counterfeited, right? That because she omitted doing one and she counterfeited the other. So this is the one she counterfeited. This is the oath that should satisfy the Constitution of Michigan in 1963, Section 1, Article 11, I believe it is. Right? I do solemnly swear I will support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the state, and I will faithfully discharge duties of office of governor according to the best of my ability. Right? Well, Constitution of the state, that those words are not capitalized in the Constitution of 1963. Apparently they were capitalized in an earlier Constitution, but that's not the way it is now, so it's wrong. Yes, it's a big deal, right? I'm a private dude, it's wrong. I was told if it's not exactly the same, it's wrong. And if I don't do it right, I'm going to go to jail, so I'm going to do it right. Right? This is the military. We're not playing with attorneys, we're playing with generals. If they give you an order, make sure it's done in a proper way. That's what you do. Right? Gretchen Esther Whitmer is concealing her full legal name identification by using Gretchen Whitmer. It's just as simple as that. That's the name that's on her driver's license. Right? If she has a driver's license that she could use on an airplane, right? Because the Real ID Act was supposed to have gone into effect this year, and then they backed it up. And I'm sure it had to do with the bullshit that went with the elections and so forth. But in that act, if you don't have a Real ID Act compliant ID, you can't get on an airplane, right? You need it to satisfy the federal government. And in there, it says you have to use your full legal name, right? So the federal government requires you to use your full legal name when you're doing anything that they require to be done. So, and then finally, this was, sworn to before a notary, and a notary is unqualified to administer an oath to the office of the governor. See Michigan Compiled Law, MCL 1536 and MCL 1537. And here's the Great Seal Act, where it says the description, Great Seal of the state of Michigan. Well, that's not what's on there. So whatever they use is a counterfeit. And that was all there was, right? And I popped it into the frickin'... Let me go show you where you can find his email address. Hang on a second here. Okay, so Colonel Wood is right? The staff judge advocate of the Arkansas National Guard. So you should be able to go to the Arkansas National Guard website and, by gosh, here's something on their legal assistance, right? ARNG, Office of Legal Assistance. Please contact us. Here's an email address. Da-da-da, da-da-da, da-da-da. Put it in the email, send it to the man, and, praise on our side. If he is, well, then that's how you take care of the problems you're dealing with, because there isn't anybody who's claiming authority over you, right? Because they say that they're the government, that's taken the oath to satisfy the 6th article of the Constitution. It doesn't matter what else they have done. If they cannot produce right, here's Title 4. The flag, seal, seat of government, and the states. And in Section 101, it says, oath by members of the legislature and of officers. Every member of the state legislature and every executive judicial officer of the state shall, before he proceeds to execute duties of his office, when must he do it? Before he proceeds to execute the duties of his office, take an oath in the following form. To wit, I state your name, do solemnly swear I will support the Constitution of the United States. This is a particular form. You cannot change the form. Right? The federal government said, do it this way for us. Now, if they want to have another oath because they're the state and they decide they got to have one, well, then so be it. They can do it. But you got to do this one for us, or you can't do the one you do for the state doesn't matter anyways. And as you can see, they're not doing that one correct either. So they're counterfeiting one and omitting the other, and that is treason. I just need one colonel of the United States Army to agree with me. Then real quick, right, so where did all that come from? Well, it's in United States statutes at large, right? This is 1 Stat 23. If you Google 1 Stat 23, right, you get this wiki link source. You can go find the statutes at large and get it out of there. But this is good enough for what I want to do, which is to show that was the first law passed by the United States Congress after the ratification of the Constitution. It was signed by President George Washington on June 1st, 1789, and parts of it are still remain on the books. Yeah, the part about the oath. Right? Being enacted by the Senate and House of Representatives of the United States of America in Congress assembled. The oath or affirmation required by the 6th article of the Constitution of the United States shall be administered in the following form, to wit. Hey, we've seen this before. The said oath or affirmation shall be administered within 3 days after passing this act, and then, went on to the rest of the people. How they're going to do it afterwards. All right, so there it is. That's a requirement by the federal government. Well, no member of Congress has taken this oath. No governor, no judge, no justice, no county commissioner, no township officer. No. They haven't done it. You can go watch the Congress take their oath, right? They're not taking this oath. They're taking an oath that comes out of 5 U.S.C. 3331, which is actually the oath that was created after the Civil War for people who had been in the Confederacy to come back to the Union and, get a job or be elected to an office in their state or whatever, right? But it was for the enemy. Well, that's who's taking it now is the enemy, right? They didn't change their spots. They're just pretending that they're spies now. And they're doing everything under a fictitious name. And I've shown all that in other videos, right? So I'm going to leave it there. Okay. Y'all have a great day, but you can see what I did, and let's see if it has any effect. All right, hang on. I actually had done this just a few days ago, right? But it was before I knew about trying to do something with the military commissions. But here recently, Rick Travis Martin, who is a constitutional law group, had been jailed for contempt of court because he was trying to help the Holland, Michigan pizza lady. Just here in the last few weeks, where they shut her place down, they arrested her, made her pay $15,000 fine, and promised to close her frickin' business, and basically ran the woman out of business. Right? That's what they did. Thank you very much, 30th Circuit Court. So, and as it had happened, I had never met Rick before, but he had called me about meeting, when he was up here doing these things. And as it turned out, he went to jail, so we didn't get to meet. But he had asked his staff to contact me about trying to fill out a writ of habeas corpus. And so I had looked at a couple of laws. Let me go find those real quick. There's not that many, but hang on a second. And so I did is based on the 61st Congress, Session 3, Chapter 231 of 1911, page 1087. So I think that's 61 Stat 1087 is the proper name, right? And it's an act to codify and revise and amend the laws relating to the judiciary. And in the sections on page 10 here, it said, right, that when any civil suit or criminal prosecution is commenced in any state court for any cause whatsoever against any person who is denied or cannot enforce the judicial tribunals in the judicial tribunals of the state or the part of the state where the suit is prosecution is pending, any right secured to him by any law providing for equal civil rights or citizens of the United States or of all persons within the jurisdiction of the state, or against any officer, civil, military, other person for an arrest, imprisonment, or other trespasses or wrongs, Right? You've been done wrong by the state. What can you do about it? You're supposed to be able to file a petition. Let's see. Yeah, you're supposed to be able to file a petition. Such defendant filed in said state court any time before the trial. Right? Next district court to be held in the district where it's pending. And in this section up here, which is 30, they call it the lowercase district court of the United States. Where the heck is it? Right there? District Court of the United States. Right? They don't call it United States District Court or anything. So, okay, well, I'm just going to use the words that they use. Right? Take them right out of the law. Now, once that's been done, so if you're in a case in the state, you're supposed to be able to file a petition to tell them to remove it to the federal court. And, that's what this law is saying. And when they do that, right, there's it shall be the duty of the clerk of the state court to furnish such defendant petitioning for removal, copies of said process against him, and all the pleadings, depositions, testimony, and other proceedings in the case. Supposed to give it all to you. Right? Then you're supposed to go to the district court and Right? I won't read it all. Now, when all the acts necessary for removal of a suit was provided in the preceding section have been performed and defendant petitioning for such removal is in actual custody on process issued by the state court, it shall be the duty of the clerk of the district court to issue a writ of habeas corpus cum causa. Right? You got to ask for the particular one, but it's from the clerk. Duty of the clerk of the district court to issue a writ of habeas corpus cum causa. And the marshal by virtue of said writ to take the body of the defendant into his custody to be dealt with said district court according to law, blah, blah, blah. Okay, that's what we're trying to do. So, petitioner. Now, Rick's already in jail. He can't do this, so I'm going to do it for Rick. Right? That's what I did. So, petitioner is a protected person under the Geneva Convention and not subject to foreign law. By virtue of color of law or color of authority, in offense of the Constitution of the United States, a State Bar of Michigan member impersonating a public officer of Michigan issued a false judgment in a simulated legal process depriving petitioner Richard Travis Martin of his liberty without due process of law to facilitate the extortion of his property. Well, that's what I say they did. They say he committed contempt of court. I don't agree. All right, the judgment of contempt by Wanda M. Stokes, bar number P44485, and the case number 21-000-1 113 CZC 30, does not have a court seal to authenticate it as a lawful order issued by a court of competent jurisdiction. Wanda M. Stokes' judgment claims petitioner is a contemnor found guilty of civil contempt on 3/19/2021, yet petitioner was sentenced for criminal contempt, with no indication being made of committed to county jail for criminal or for civil contempt. And by these and other errors and omissions, petitioner is now unlawfully imprisoned. Wanda M. Stokes was not in the courtroom when petitioner was falsely charged with contempt, and she did not sign her judgment. The judgment of contempt of Wanda M. Stokes was signed by her, or signed for her, by her conspirator, whose bar number appears to be P37670, the bar number of State Bar Michigan member Rosemary E. Aquilina, another esquire of the State Bar of Michigan Association, impersonating a Michigan public officer. Again, right, these attorneys did not take the oath that's in 4 U.S.C. 101. They're not state judges. They're impersonating Michigan public officers. Petitioner does not believe Wanda M. Stokes executed the oath of office required of all state judicial officers by federal law 4 U.S.C. 101. Hey, we've looked at that already, right? We know what that is. We know what it says. We can recite it by memory. I state your name, do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States. You don't see that on paper all by itself. You're not being shown what you asked to see. And so they have no prima facie evidence that they took the oath unless they can certify that they did. Petitioner believes Wanda M. Stokes counterfeited the oath of office required in Section 1, Article 11 of the Constitution of Michigan, just like the governor did, just using her information. Did the same thing by simulating a legal document with an altered form of oath described in their pseudonym to conceal her true identity as part of a scheme to impersonate a state judicial officer. That's why she did it. There's a reason she did it that way. She wants to impersonate a state judicial officer, not be one. There's no money in being one. Right? But when you can extort somebody using the power of the office, well, that's a whole different Ricky Lake show. Petitioner believes members of the State Bar of Michigan abdicated their First Amendment rights as a condition of membership in an association that advocates the overthrow of our constitutional form of government. And as a result of their voluntary membership, Wanda M. Stokes, bar number and Rosemary are proven to be disloyal to the United States and barred from by federal law from holding any government office. Right? Look up disloyalty in federal law and you'll see you can't do that. Right? Wanda M. Stokes is unqualified to adjudicate any proceeding that could adversely affect the life, liberty, and property of the petitioner. Her act to do so is an act of an enemy of the United States. Petitioner demands a 30th Circuit Court remove case to the District Court of the United States in accordance with Section 31. Right? And the liberty of petition be restored without delay. So I did it on penalties of perjury, sent it in, put it in the mail, did it for Rick, and well, he's still in jail, but apparently things have changed a bit, and they're shutting down access to everything, saying everybody's got to stay in the rooms. COVID. Anytime Rick gets on the phone, they within minutes of being on the phone, they make everybody go back to their cells. So, in the matter of Rick Martin, right? So they didn't use his full legal name, right? There's Wanda M. Stokes. They really didn't put the name of a court, but they put an address, which is the address of the 30th Circuit Court, right? The contemnor was found guilty of civil contempt, right, on this date, by summary contempt after hearing for the following: unlawful practice law without a license. Okay. Nothing in 2 was checked. Contemnor was represented by an attorney, advised of the right of counsel, and knowingly, intelligent, voluntary waived his rights. So, they didn't give him a choice. They didn't do that. Well, that's an error or omission. They were supposed to advise of the right to counsel and appointed counsel, and knowingly, intelligently, and voluntarily waived this right. They didn't give him the chance. And number 3, it is ordered that the contemnor is sentenced to jail for criminal contempt. Well, they said up here he was found for civil contempt. Didn't say criminal, right? There's criminal. That box ain't checked, right? This is all about checking boxes, getting signatures, right? Check, right? And they put him in for 93 days, right? They didn't do B, that he was committed to the county jail for civil contempt and may be released when. They didn't give him any option for that. He's in there for criminal contempt. But that isn't what it says at the top. So somebody's simulating a legal process, and they're holding them for a fine for $7,500. The due date of the payment is already passed. It was the day you got dinged, right? So now he's past due. Now he's being held as a debtor. Fines, costs, fees not paid within 56 days of the due date are subject to 20% late fee, right? And 6, DF must serve full jail term and pay $7,500. They really got it up for the poor guy. Rick's getting hammered. Right? Well, here's where the seal should be. Well, there ain't no seal on that. I mean, this is a wedding signature, right? It's in blue. Where's the seal? You see one? No. Right? And here's Wanda M. Stokes, so it's in her name for, but this, Rosemary did it, and there's her bar number. All right? And so Rosemary is actually the judge that was in the courtroom when Rick was in there being found in contempt of court. Right? So she's the one who did it, but she's putting it in this other judge's name. Well, neither of them are judges. They're both members of the State Bar of Michigan Association impersonating public officers. So they may be next. Okay, so again, this is for somebody who was already, he's in jail. It's a little bit too late. But if you're in a court case, go put this in. Right? Go put in this stuff under this act. Right? If you want to find this, the easiest way to find this is going to be to call it what it is. An act to codify, revise, and amend the laws relating to the judiciary. Right? March 3rd, 1911. It may be 61 Stat 1087. You might be able to find it that way. I don't really know. I just know the act was passed on March 3rd, 1911. Chapter 231. Right? And then if you go down to the 10th page, if you get this thing, go down the 10th page of the PDF. Or wherever for you find section 31, and this is what you want to file as a petition. Right? And say it's being done by color of authority because the person sitting there as the judge doesn't have the frickin' authority because they didn't take the proper oath of office. Let's just start there. Right? There's no need to go any further about what I did until the person sitting there has the authority to judge it. And they don't because they didn't take the oath. So that's what I wanted to show you. Right? That's another thing going on. But don't let anybody tell you there's not something you can do. There's always something to do. Okay, I'm all done. Y'all have a great day. See you now.